out. Well, remember, it's not just about what's happening above the surface. In fact, I would argue early on, it's more about what's happening below the surface. You want these roots to grow, you want them to spread out, you want them to flourish. And to do that, they do. Now let's talk about our soil. Just a second ago, I said all you need is regular old potting soil. Any mix, whatever you can get cheapest at the garden. The reason we use potting soil is because of its consistency. Potting soil is like spongy. See that? It's nice, it's loose, it's spongy. And it allows these little hair-like roots to grow and to flourish. If this was a tightly packed kind of soil, it'd be harder for the roots to grow. It also holds moisture, but allows for drainage. So I want you to fill your 1 gallon pot about halfway with whatever potting soil you want in the garden. Then use a very small amount. In fact, if you want to measure it, maybe a tablespoon of 6-6-6 blend fertilizer. That's it. Fertilizers are categorized by the percentages of their nutrients. So a 6-6-6 blend fertilizer means that you've got a fertilizer with 6% nitrogen, 6% potassium, and 6% phosphorus. The remaining 82% is filler. And if you use too much of the stuff or put it too close to the seeds, it'll actually burn your little baby roots. So you only want to use a little bit of the soil. Now we're ready to plant the we have a 1 gallon pot. We have gallons worth of potting soil in there with just a little bit of 6-6-6 blend fertilizer. All we're going to do is make a little indentation like this. There's an orientation for the seed. You have to look for the belly button. So every seed's going to have either a rounded or pointed top. And it's going to have an indentation at the bottom like this little belly button. Belly button goes down. All you do is find that little belly button part, put it facing downward, screw your seed in there till about 1/3 of it, maybe 1/4 is showing from the top. And that's it. It's a planted avocado seed. I want you to water this every other day. But depending on where you live, it may be a more damp atmosphere, it may be more arid. You just want to go out and take a little pinch of soil, maybe every other day. Right now this soil feels kind of damp, so I know I can wait until tomorrow to water this. If you live somewhere dry, you might need to water every other day. If you live somewhere where it's really moist, the air has a lot of humidity in it, you might need to water every 3rd day or even every 4th day. But remember, you're only in a 1 gallon pot. It's going to drain, so you will need to water frequently, but you don't want to water too much. And store it somewhere that gets partial sunlight. Your seed will immediately start to grow. You won't see anything. It's going to grow the roots first. Before your seed can grow up, it's got to grow down and out because these roots are what extract the nutrients and water from the soil. And those nutrients are used to create energy, and that energy is used to create the rest of the tree. So just because you think your tree isn't growing, it is. And a lot of people don't know this, but if you're standing underneath the tree, the root system beneath you extends as far, if not further, than the canopy of the tree above. Half the tree is under the ground. Now eventually, you'll start to see a little sprout coming out the top. You'll see a little sprout growing. Resist the urge to help it. Resist the urge to fuss with your tree. Just let Mother Nature do its thing. You see here we have the root system in this crack. You can see the stalk coming through, which is going to grow tall. Continue with the partial sunlight. Continue with the every other day or every 3rd or 4th day watering. And every 60 days, I want you to give it a little more of this 6-6 fertilizer. Let me show you how. Remember, just at this line here, you've got all these little hair-like roots starting to grow. We don't want to burn them with fertilizer. So every 60 days, just take a little spoon or a knife or something, and just go around the edge of your pot. Don't go crazy. Remember, this is just a 1 gallon. You only got 1 gallon of soil in there. You don't need a lot of fertilizer. Maybe a spoonful or 2 little spoonfuls like that. Eventually you'll get what looks like a tree. You'll have a stem or a trunk, and leaves, and maybe even start to have little branches. The next thing I want you to do is use a crop stick. just get yourself a little piece of bamboo or something, even one of those paint stirrers, and fasten your stem to it so that your tree grows straight. I recommend you go out and buy a roll of grafting tape because you're going to be using it later when you graft the tree anyhow. And use that grafting tape. Just fasten the tree to the post. Man, I wish you were here with me right now. I got these beautiful orchids flowering right behind me. My neighbor's playing some mariachi. I don't know if you could hear it. They're over there slaughtering a pig, actually. It's just really a great day. But anyways, back to your avocado. So a few months will go by. You now have a choice. You can choose to grow this tree. And it'll take about 10 to 12 years to produce. If that's the route you're going to go, you'll wait your 10 to 12 years. You'll eventually get a piece of fruit. You'll taste it. It might be delicious. It might be disgusting. It might be so-so. But if that's the route you want to go, then you're never going to graft this tree. But you will need to prune it. So every couple of months, you'll see a new hornet growth coming out the top. I'm going to ask you to just take your fingers and pinch that growth off. And I'm not sure why, but that tells your tree that it's having a tough time growing upward, so it's time to start growing outward. That will thicken the stem, and it will also encourage branch growth, lateral growth. Periodically, you will also need to upgrade to bigger and bigger pots like this one. And eventually, a 7-gallon. Because remember, it's not just above the ground. You are growing an organism beneath the ground also, what you can't see. And this root system wants to go down. This root system wants to go out. And in order to be big enough down below the surface to support a big tree up above, it needs space to expand. Also, 1 gallon of potting soil with a little bit of fertilizer isn't enough nutrients to support a bigger tree like, say, this 7-gallon tree right here, right? Eventually, after you've grown it for a while in a 7-gallon pot, and it's maybe thigh high or waist high, that's probably a good time to get it in the ground. At that point, your tree will be somewhere between 3 and 4 years old, which means you've got 6 to 8 years until it starts to produce fruit. At that point, taste the fruit and see if you hit the water. You might have delicious fruit, you might have a
Aban, Arthur. Aban. Sit. Yan.